Hey guys, so I thought I'd show you how I develop Color C-41 film at home using a Jobo CPE2 Plus rotary processor. So at the moment I'm just waiting for it all to get up to temperature. The water bath needs to be about 40 degrees roughly, and the actual chemicals themselves need to heat up to about 38.5. I usually warm them up to just a little bit more than that, just to sort of compensate for the temperature loss that you inevitably get when you pour the chemicals into the drum. So people often think, well, developing at home in general is complicated, and that colour development is something that only sort of professionals can do, but it's actually really simple. So I'm using the Tetenal free bath kit. So there's basically 3 baths of chemical that you need to pour over the film in order to develop it. So the first is the colour developer itself, so that does most of the work. Then there is a combined bleach and fix, which is known as a Blix bath. So that stops the development process and sort of cleans up the negative. And then finally there's a stabilizer step. Oops. And that basically is just gonna stop the film from degrading over time. So the film I already have loaded in here. I've got some Ecta 100 in this. This has a magnet at the bottom which attaches it to there, and then when the motor is turned on, it basically just rotates it one way and then the other, and then you just do that for about 3 minutes and 15 seconds in the developer bath, and then a few minutes with the bleach fix, and then another minute or so with the stabilizer, and then you're good to go really. So what I will be doing next, you have to bring the film itself, needs to be brought up to temperature to ensure that there's nice equal sort of development. So that means just pouring some water into here and just leaving it in the bath for about 5 minutes just to get up to temperature. And I tip that out, that gets some of the dye off the film. So the water always comes out like a lovely purple colour. But yeah, nothing to worry about. And that's about it really. Okay, so here you can see I'm just getting some water up to 40 degrees, which I'm then going to use to rinse the film with. So although there's a thermometer in here for measuring the temperature of the water bath, having a separate thermometer so you can dunk this into the chemicals just to make sure they're actually at the right temperature is really important. Okay, so I'm just pouring in the water. I probably won't show you this step for pouring in the actual chemicals just because the time is that bit critical. I don't want to obviously get it develop any longer than necessary. So with these Jobos, you've got a top that sort of pushes in to sort of try and create a little bit of a vacuum to help the seal. I find this one can leak a little bit, so I have to be a bit careful of it, especially when it's got it doesn't matter so much when it's got water in it, but when it's got the actual chemistry in it, you do not want that to be leaking out into your water bath. So the magnet holds that on, and then it just spins, but you'll notice because it's not quite a perfect sort of connection there, it sags a little bit. So what I find I do is I put a finger under here and just hold it up. When it's got the chemicals in, that just stops there being any leakage. And you think, that'll be quite painful on your finger after a while, but once I actually start dealing with the proper chemicals, I'll be wearing these lovely disposable plastic gloves, so that makes that fine. So that's going to be in there for about 5 minutes now, so let's just get 5 minutes on the timer. This tank, as you can see, is actually quite a lot bigger than this, and you can get much bigger tanks than this for doing lots of films at once. Oh, that's the timer done, so let's just stop that, and then this just twists off. So let's get you off here. This is going to look pretty nasty. Ooh, lovely. That's just the dye off the film. You want to try and get as much of that out as possible. Okay. So next to go under here will be let's just get that dye out of the lid as well. The trouble with this is it's not rubber, it's just kind of soft plastic, so it doesn't form the best of seals, and it's probably quite old as well. So I'm borrowing this whole setup off of a friend, and I'm sure he's had it for quite a few years. So it doesn't quite form as good a seal as it should do. And because of the design of this, lets chemical spill over the top of the funnel in there. That's not actually sealed, that sort of top bit. You're very much reliant on that to keep the chemical coming out of there. So it's not the best design in the world, to be honest. For now, I'm just going to, until I've got made sure the chemicals and things up to temperature, I'm just going to put that back in the water bath just to stand, just to keep the tank warm. So the next thing I want to do is, this is the colour developer. Let's just check that's right. C-41 Dev. I'll open that up, I'll put the thermometer in and just make sure that's up to about the right temperature. Okay, so the thermometer is in. Of course, it's twisted around, so let's see, where are we? So although it's been in the water bath for quite a while, I'm not sure if it's going to be quite up to where we want, which is about 39, so we're not quite there yet. Oh, maybe we are just about there actually. That's looking pretty good. Oh, I think we actually might go all the way up to 40. Okay, perfect. So what I'll do now is I'll just take that out and get any drips off that. I'm just going to put that in the sink till I can wash it. Obviously it's vital to make sure you wash that before you go sticking it into any of the other chemicals, because you don't want to contaminate those. So what I shall do now is, because there's 500 mils of this in here and my tank only takes 240, is I'll measure some of this out into one of these. These should be good. I'm just going to give this a quick rinse out, just being completely on the safe side. Shake excess water out of that. And then I just want to pour out exactly 240, which is there. At least it's a nice dark chemical, so it's fairly easy to see when you're up to the level. The only thing you have to watch out is it does foam a little bit as you pour it, which can make it a little bit harder to tell when you're quite up there. I mean, if it's fractionally over, it doesn't matter, to be honest. So the chemical solution is right. So that's 240. So you want to make sure you get your lid back on here, because these chemicals do all oxidize. So you want to get them capped off as quick as possible. I'm just going to put that back in the water bath, just so there's not like a shock of that cooling down and then having hot developer poured back into it. So I have to put the camera down now, and I shall put that into there, and then that's going to be on for, according to the instructions, it says films 1 to 2 should be given 3 minutes and 15 seconds at 38 degrees, or 3 minutes 30 for 3 to 4 films, and this is actually my third film, but because I'm only using 250 ml of the solution at a time, and then it's getting replenished into a box of 500, I'm not going to take it up to 330 for this. I'm going to try it at 3 minutes and 20 seconds. And all these figures are, you know, plus minus a few seconds anyway, because it takes a few seconds to pour it in and pour it out. So hopefully that will turn out okay. Right, so we now have the colour developer in there. It's got about 3 minutes to go. So this is really quick. So if you've done like black and white development, depending on the concentration of the developer you're using, that can take anywhere up to 10-15 minutes. If you're doing some development processes, can take significantly longer than that. So colour is really quick, and as it's a standardised process for C-41, doesn't matter what kind of C-41 film you're using, that always takes that exact same amount of time. Well, apart from with this, obviously you need to gradually increase the time by a few seconds as the developer gets gradually sort of used up. So I'm just trying to keep an eye down here, because every now and again you'll see like a little cloud appear in the water, and that's just a little bit of chemical escaping. Hopefully when I keep my finger in here, it stops it sagging down too much and prevents that from happening, because you don't want to be losing your chemistry. Let's see, so we've got about 2 minutes to go. When it gets down to about a minute, I'll probably stop the video just so I'm all hands on deck to be able to pour the developer out. Okay, so the colour developer has now been poured back into here. So let's just get that capped off. As you can see, it's pretty much on the 500 mark, which means I've not lost any of the chemical, so that's good. Get you back into the water bath. So next up is the bleach fix. Oops. So this tank isn't in the greatest of conditions. This red thing here, which is what stops the bottle sort of floating away when they're not completely full, is not really actually anchored down very well on this, so it tends to float up a bit. So there's the Blix, and the instructions say that the bleach fix takes between 4 minutes and for the first 1 to 2 films, and then 6 minutes. So I guess we'll call that 5 minutes. Shall we split the difference for film number 3? So I'll just check that the Blix is at the right temperature, and it is. It's a touch on the warm side actually. So it is about hovering around fractionally over 40 degrees, which is a little bit warmer than we want. Although it's not quite as not quite as critical on this. You can have up to plus or minus 1 degree from 38, so it's a little bit on the warm side. So what I might do is just run a little bit of cold water over the bottle when I capped it off, just to bring that down. You see that it's pretty gross stuff there. So I probably should have worn an apron, because I'm wearing a white top, which is probably going to stain horrifically if it gets any of this on it. So let's just get that there. It's a really hot day here, which is probably not helping. The ambient here is probably about 25 at the moment. It won't cool down quite as quickly as it would on a cool day. So let's just see, hopefully that might have brought the temperature down just enough. Okay, there's our trusty thermometer. And let's see what we're at. Hopefully I've not taken it down too far. So we're on what? 35, 36. We're just climbing up to 37. Yeah, just 38. A little bit over 38 would be ideal. Yeah, I think that's the perfect temperature. So I'm going to do what I did with the colour one, and I just need to measure out 24 mils of that. Yeah, that looks good. It's just really nasty stuff, this. So we're at 240 mils again. Oh, I just realised I'm looking at the imperial measurements, which will do me no good at all. So that's the metric. When you've done lots of black and white development, most of the chemicals for that are sort of completely clear. So when you start doing colour stuff and it's all these really, really dark chemicals, it's a bit different. But it's much easier to measure things out. It's much easier to see when you've got a dark chemical and these sort of semi-translucent cylinders. So let's just cap that off. And then there is a tank, which has been staying nice and warm. That is sat for 5 minutes, so let's see if I can do this all on camera without screwing it up. So in goes bleach fix. Okay, that goes in the sink. Let's start the time now because it started working. Let's get the top on, push it in, that squeezes a bit of air out. Then we get that onto there, start the rotary development, and then we're doing 5 minutes of this. I just lost a little tiny bit of chemical out there, even though I'm holding it, and still a little bit comes out, because that is such a dark, icky brown chemical. You really see it. You can see a little bit just coming out there. So that's not good. There's not really anything I can do about that. So I really don't know why it's coming out. That's coming out quite badly. Let's have a look at this tank, I think, when we've finished doing this batch. So I'm holding this up now about as much as I really can. I think possibly because you're heating the tank up, you're probably creating a bit of pressure inside that, and that's just, yeah, you can see that's kind of like all over the lid a bit, isn't it? It's not great. I don't think we're going to release so much that it's going to affect the development, but obviously once your chemical is all lost into your water bath, then that makes it a bit hard next time. So the Tetenal kit actually comes as a litre, so I'm using half of it here. Ooh, that is leaking quite a bit. This is about the most I've actually seen it leak, and that's with me holding the thing up, so it's just all around that red lid. The actual main seal in there is just fine, it's just this red lid is crap. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is just give the film a rinse. So the temperature's not super critical for this, it says anywhere between 30 and 40. And as you can see, we're just a little bit over 30 here. I'm not actually quite at 240 though, so I'm just going to top that with a tiny bit more hot water. And of course that's gone way over. Yeah, what temperature are you at? Yeah, that's fine. Right, let's tip a little tiny bit of that out. So this is just to wash off any more of that bleach that's in there. So getting there. I think that's about 240. Say it doesn't matter if it's like fractionally off, yeah, on the dot. Right, so that goes in. Rather leaky lid goes on. I actually don't know if pushing this in is good or not, but it doesn't really seem to make a difference to it leaking, but at least there's only water in there this time. So that goes on there, put the timer on. This wants to be going for 3 minutes or so, and that's constant regardless of film. So 3 minutes. Okay, so I've just finished the 3-minute rinse step. The film is light safe, well it's been light safe since it's been fixed. So what I'm going to do is, as well as pour all this out, I'm actually going to have a look at the film now. Make sure that it's come out okay. In theory I can put the bleach fix back in if it needs it, but hopefully that won't be the case. Right, that's all out. So the rim just pulls up. That should release. Okay. Why is that so stuck? Oh, there we go. So the film is in here on the spiral. It's a bit hard to see, but there's definitely some pictures on there. Just ever so slightly unwind this. Hold it up to the light. Of course this first bit of the film blank, but yeah, there's definitely some pictures on there, I can see that. Excellent. So not screwed up development times, so that's always good. So the next thing is this basically just needs to have the stabilization bath, which is just for a minute, and that can be anywhere from like 20 to 40 degrees, so it's quite quick and simple. So I'm just going to put the camera down, wind this film back on, and get it into the stabilization bath. Cool, so just going to do the stabilization bath now, see what temperature that's at. So this is really flexible, can be anywhere between 20 and 40. I just want to make sure it's not gotten too hot, as it has been in the bath the longest, and it did get up to about 45 there for a bit, so that was cooled off now. Let's make sure this caliper's not gotten too hot. Yeah, it looks like we're just hovering around ever so slightly over 40. I think the act of measuring out 240 mils of that's going to bring that down, so it's well within the safe temperature. So as you can see, I've only got about just under 300 mils of that, so I've lost quite a lot of this the first time I used it. So let's hope we don't make a repeat of that. Make sure we're on metric side of the measuring cylinder. And then we just want to pour out 240 mils. This one's quite a lot paler, so it's a bit harder to see, especially with all that foam. This one does create quite a lot of suds, which had me a little bit worried at first, that it might make the film dry a bit patchy, but I've not actually had that issue. So I think that's basically at about 240. So it's not super crystal. Right. That's so light, I won't put that back in the water bath because it's just going to float off. So lid is down, chemical in. There. That's on. This only wants to be in for a minute, so So let's start that now. Onto the drum, motor on. So just a minute of this, and then it's all good. Then after that I just have to hang the film up to dry, and we're all good to go. Last step's not super time critical. I'll just show you the whole process of pouring it out. So there's a little bit of suds in there. Sterilise the bottle. Let's give this film a quick rinse. It's always, if in doubt, always give everything an extra rinse because you don't want to contaminate the chemicals of each other. And a little bit of, these chemicals are already quite diluted with water, so an extra few little drops here and there doesn't make all that much difference. And the development times are all going to be increasing anyway as you go through the film to sort of compensate for that. So how it comes. Coming out pretty much the same colour it went in, which is always good. And let's make sure that's all out. A little bit more. Actually, this stage, you might as well just pull the whole lid off. If it stops sticking. There we go. So there's a little bit sudsy in there. So just hold in the centre so the spiral doesn't fall out. Only last little bit. There we go. Everything in there. That is all good. Sure, that is now turned off because we don't need that staying hot. So what I'll do now is I will go put this in the shower, and then in a couple of hours time that will be dry and ready to start digitising. Okay, so I now have the film hung up and dry, and I just use like this clothes hanger. Nothing fancy, and just like a sort of general purpose sort of little plastic clamp at the bottom, just to add some weight to make sure the film dries nice and flat. As you can see, there's definitely some pictures on there. So that is how you do C-41 development at home. It's pretty straightforward, really. So the only issues I've had really with it are just that my tank leaks a little bit of chemical every now and again. But apart from that, it's just fine. I've not tried to do it with manual agitation yet. That's something I might try in the future. But for now, I'm hoping I might be able to do something with that Jobo tank just to make it seal a little bit better. So when I've got this dried out, a couple of hours time, I'll digitise it. And I'll probably at the end of the video I'll stick in some of these shots so you can see how they came out.